Hey guys, it's Casey. I'm making a video today about choosing your faith over your fear. And it's going to go with the fact that you've been brought through it once before, you'll be brought through it again. Regardless of the situation you're in, you may not understand why you're in that situation, but there's a reason you're in that situation. There's a reason your faith is being tested. There may be a reason your faith may be very, very thin. You may be thinking, you're ready to give up, but there's a reason. There's a reason that you're going through what you're going through. I'm actually going to use a story that's happened in my life, the fact that when I chose faith over fear. My ex and I had separated when I was 5 months pregnant. He had put his hands on me, and I was pregnant at the time, and so I decided at that point that I didn't want to live this lifestyle anymore. The fact that he was going to risk hurting our unborn child was an eye-opener for me. And so I struggled a lot with that, the fact that here I was, I didn't have a job, didn't have a cent to my name, didn't have anywhere to go. I had 3 kids and a baby on the way. My grandma was amazing. She was a saint, she took me and the kids in. She was right there to help me with everything. And I'm actually going to share the story of my 5-year-old. Her name is Zoe Grace. And there's a story behind actually why she got her name. It started out with when I had just had my 6-year-old. I remember praying to God that night saying, I'm tired of this life. I don't want to live this life. This is not the life I want. I remember praying and saying, please God, please let me get pregnant so I can get the strength to leave and get out of this situation, to give myself a better life, to give my kids a better life. And I ended up finding out I was pregnant. I still didn't leave that situation. And it was fear. I was scared of how was I going to do this? How was I going to take care of 3 kids with a baby on the way? How was I going to leave a life that I'd known for so many years? And God saved me from that situation. My ex actually left me. And I dealt with a lot of anger at that point. I was upset with him. I was mad. Why, God, why? Why did you do this? Why would you make somebody walk out on their kids and all this stuff? And so I hit rock bottom, and I ended up going to church because I realized nothing was helping. I realized I needed to go back to church, and I needed to rededicate myself to God. And so I went to this church, and the pastor in this church actually, everything he would say I could relate to. Something that I had gone through that week or something that I was going to be going through that next week, I could relate to it. It was like God spoke through him to me about everything. And I'm sure a lot of people can actually relate to that. And so my daughter's name is Zoe Grace. And the reason she got her name is because she got the name Zoe because it means life. I've been in love with the name Zoe for as long as I know. It's an absolutely beautiful name. My ex hated that name. Every time I was like, hey, let's go with the name Zoe, he was like, no, I don't like that name. We're not going to pick that name. And so I decided to name my daughter Zoe because I got a new chance at life because of the fact of him putting his hands on me and me being 5 months pregnant helped me not go back to that situation. Because the night that I had went to the domestic violence shelter, my ex actually called me and basically did the usual thing abusers do, the crying, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how I'm going to live in this house without you, I miss you and the kids and all this stuff. And I had decided at that point, the fact that he had put his hands on me when I was pregnant again, that I didn't want to go back to that situation. I didn't want to live that life. I wanted to give my kids a better life. I wanted to give myself a better life. And so I didn't go back because I had a fear of knowing if I went back, there's a good chance I would have ended up in the ground. There was a good chance if I was gone, I wasn't going to be able to protect my children. I wasn't going to be able to protect my unborn child. He'd already put his hands on me when I was pregnant with her. And so I left the situation. And I struggled with a lot of, confusion and anger. And it was a roller coaster. It was up and down with the emotions, not being with him. And I remember talking to my pastor and being stressed out because I had just moved into a house, I had to unpack, I had a baby that was coming in a month, and I remember just being like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And he's like, you got to have faith, Casey. Whatever you've been brought through, he's going to bring you through again. You can do this. God wouldn't have given this to you if you couldn't do it. And so I decided to choose my faith over my fears. And so I remember talking to the pastor, and that's another thing that really just hit me perfectly, was I had said, I don't understand how a parent can walk out on their kids. I don't understand how a parent can't want to be a part of their kids' life. And my pastor basically told me, he's like, Casey, it's not your job to understand. That decision that he's made is between him and God. It's not for you to understand. You've got to just have faith that there's a reason that it's happening. And so I did. And so the night that I had actually went to go have Zoe, I had gone in the night before, and so they started the process of, hooking me up and everything. And Zoe's heart rate kept going up and down, up and down, up and down, like over 200, and then it would drop, and then it'd go over 200. And, my mom was like, what are we going to do? She was worried about it, And I basically sat there and said, you know what? I said, it's okay. It's in God's hands. I have faith. And I ended up, giving birth the next morning to a beautiful baby girl. She was happy. She was healthy. She was wonderful. And the reason I'm saying choose your faith over your fear is because I was terrified. The thought of, I already had 3 kids to raise. I was getting ready to have to take care of a newborn, But I chose my faith. I'm like, hey, I can do it. God's here for me. I got this, I got it down. And when I went to go have Zoe, I was actually due the 23rd of the month. And so I remember teasing the doctor and saying, hey, she's got a grandma whose birthday is on the 11th. Can we just, induce me on the 11th? And he was like, well, no, we can. He's like, but we can't induce you at 39 weeks, which will be the 17th. He's like, and let's go ahead and induce, because I'm RH negative and stuff like that, And so I was like, okay. And so he induced me. And when Zoe came, into this world, she was crying, but she had the umbilical cord wrapped around her. And I remember sitting there and being like, that's choosing faith over fear. If I had chose to give in to my fears and waited till my due date, waited till after my due date probably to have her, she may not have been here, and even the night before I had her, when her heart rate was going up and down, up and down, up and down, I didn't give in to fear. I had that faith. I knew God was there for me. I knew God was going to pull me through it, and he did. I have a beautiful, healthy, happy 5-year-old who's just a ball of life, And I remember a doctor saying something to me the next day, saying that if we probably would have waited till my actual due date, that Zoe probably wouldn't have been here, because she did have the umbilical cord wrapped around her. And that was the reason her heart rate kept going up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's how I chose, well, one of the many ways I chose my faith over my fear. I could have given into that fear of having to take care of 3 kids and a newborn and, wanted to wait. I could have given into that fear of, stressing out when I was on the monitor and Zoe's heart rate was going up, and that wouldn't have done Zoe any good, and that wouldn't have done me any good. That would have just caused more stress and more problems. I had faith. And having faith's hard. Like, you're going to struggle with having that faith. And that's me getting to another subject. Zoe's middle name's Grace. And the reason she got the middle name Grace is because through the grace of God, I was given a new chance at life. And Zoe means life. So that's how she got the name Zoe Grace. So, whatever situation you guys are going through, whether you're homeless, whether you're jobless, whether you're in a bad situation, whether you're trying to get your kids back, you're trying to conceive, something like that, whatever situation you're going through, just have faith that there's a reason you're going through that. You may not understand right now why you're going through that situation, but trust me, you're going to understand eventually why you're going through that situation. So if any of you all, ever feel like you're struggling with your faith, just watch this video, and I can tell you, he's there. He provides you. He's brought you through stuff before. He's always going to bring you back. And that's going to bring me in closing to, there's actually another Bible quote that I actually have. I have it actually written down because I can't remember it word for word. But it's 1 Peter 5:7. And basically it says, cast all your anxieties on him, for he cares about you. And he does care about you guys. If God didn't care about us, then why would he have done as much as he does? Why would he love us when we are rotten at our lowest? We're horrible people, you know. Why would he love us daily regardless of what we do? You know, he's there for you guys. There's people out there that are there for you. You know, you just got to learn to choose that faith over that fear. Because if you give into that fear, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, you've just got to realize whatever you're going through, there's a reason you're going through. And there's going to be at times that if you are still giving into that fear, he's going to boot you and he's going to be like, hey, no, this is what I want you to do. So, you know, if you can relate to this, if you've ever been through a situation like this, please let me know in the comments down below. Please like this. Please share this. You know, if there's somebody I could help out there, that would be great. And please, guys, stay strong and keep fighting.